Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hey, and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass with me today. I'm so excited about this one. I'm so excited. I stayed up late and Pauline got up early. My friend Pauline Longdon, all the way from Australia. Hi, Pauline.
Hey, Angie. So good to be here.
I'm so glad we finally got to sync up. Like, we've been trying for weeks to get the schedule to work out and the timing to work out so that we could record this episode. So this makes me very happy. You've made my day.
Thank you. Thank you for being so flexible.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. That's how badly I wanted you on the show. Like, nope, I'm totally down to do this. So we were talking a little bit about your journey before the show. Let's just jump right in. You've got such a fascinating story. I don't even want to try and give it an intro. Let's just go.
Okay, so we're going to start from when I was born at a young age, or a little bit later than that. I'm just joking.
It's the Pauline hour. We're just going to do the whole life story. Once upon a time, there's a little baby born in Sydney, Australia. And even from when I was born, I didn't obviously want to come out. I was back in the 1960s, late 1960s, I was actually a 10-month baby. It's I was just so reluctant to come out. And I think my life has just been pretty much an extension of that all the way through. They actually had to drag me out. And then when I came out, I was like a little yellow wrinkled thing, and my mum just said, I'm sure you've given me the wrong baby, that one's hideous. And then anyway, but anyway, no, I give my mum a hard time. She's an amazing woman, but it would have been horrible being pregnant for 10 months and then having me. But anyway, so so I grew up in Australia, which has, I think, given me quite a good personality, living in the land of all the killy things. And when you get as old as I am, obviously, I'm a survivor, because you don't get this old living down here. So the giant spiders.
Yeah, giant spiders. Well, at least you can see those ones. It's the little invisible things. But so just really uneventful kind of childhood. My dad was in the Navy, and then I always thought I'd grow up and join the Navy. But then when I went to join the Navy, they weren't having nurses on the ships, and I thought, well, why be in the Navy and sit on land? I could do that in the Army. So I joined the Army, and I was totally into trauma nursing. And I'm going to admit something to you that I haven't ever admitted before. There used to be a show called China Beach, and there was a nurse on that show called McMurphy, and I wanted to be McMurphy. And in fact, it's beware of what you wish for, because I kind of did become McMurphy, ended up with the same bike, same everything, and also the same psychological damage from a different wartime. So always be careful of what you wish for and what you aspire to be in life. So as I said, I went into the Army as a nurse, and it was great. It was really great until it wasn't. For 13 years of my military career, it was fantastic. And then in 1 year, they sent me on a couple of different operations, one after the other. In the Australian Army, they don't ever do that, but they needed trauma nurses to go and do that. And so I came back, and I was a bit mental, actually, and I got promoted to major, got diagnosed with major depression, and I said, well, if that's how this promotion things works, can I get demoted to captain, get a lesser level of depression? And they said, that's not funny. I said, I wasn't trying to be funny. I had depression. Humor and me were divorced at that stage. So anyway, I went through all the the movements and the journey of depression, and I majored in depression. I got really good at it, and then basically got kicked out of the Army with depression. And but even just a little bit before that, so I knew that the discharge was coming, and I was what I call functionally illiterate, because I was functioning. I could obviously read and write before depression, but it just fried my cognitive ability, and I couldn't actually read or write. I couldn't remember how to spell or sign my name. And the day that I was discharged, they gave me a great big wad of, discharge papers. And they said, sign here, here, and here. And I actually signed them all with a cross. I didn't even try to attempt to spell my name. And so that day, I decided that was going to be my last day on planet Earth. I thought, well, I'm an absolute loser. I'm a waste of space, oxygen thief. And also the other thing, Angie, is I had watched people basically grieve the loss of me around me anyway. Like my mum would say, it's hard to watch what you've become. Like, you used to be so strong. You used to be such an amazing woman, and you're just a fragment of yourself. And my partner, Ray, and everyone around me is really grieving the loss of who I used to be, this spectacular, confident, dynamic woman that would do anything for anyone else, not even able to do one thing for herself. And so on the day that I was discharged and that I couldn't remember how to sign my name in that, I'd already picked out a tree that was going to be my escape hatch out of life. And then, so basically on the way, I didn't even drive home that day. I actually drove towards that tree. And anyway, I was driving towards that tree at speed. And as it kind of it's quite dramatic actually. It's very well planned. But as I was driving towards the tree, and I took my last breath, gripped the steering wheel. This is weird, but someone just from somewhere yelled. Am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So this mad woman yelled out, "Stop the fucking car!"
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Well, this is happy ending. We wouldn't be talking if I had driven into the tree.
Wait, are you ghost?
Yeah. All right. The game's up. The game's up.
Ghost podcast.
The ghost of Pauline Longdon. So anyway, so that was enough to just reach me out of my death trance. And I'm not even lying. It's I stopped within millimeters of that tree, bumper to bark. And I just sat there shocked and shaking and just going, what the fuck was that about? Who the hell? I'm in the car all by myself, and who the hell, whose voice was that? It wasn't mine. It sounded like an older woman, and I'm just going, holy shit. And we can circle back to that later, because I'll tell you, I know who that person was now, and it's kind of goosebumpy. But anyway, so I stopped the car and sat there shaking and in tears, and then I decided that I'd do what any reasonable adult would do. I drove home, dejected, like a loser, came inside into my house and laid on the carpet in a ball of tissues and snot and tears, and thought, well, God, if I have to be here, if I have to be here, I have to make it matter or count in some way. But at that moment, I didn't know how the hell that was going to happen. I just, so I started to get into, because I was a free agent then, I was out of the military. I dove down into the rabbit hole of personal development. And by the way, I did actually forget to say one thing. The Army had me on such big doses of antidepressants that I ended up with serotonin syndrome.
Ooh.
And so a couple of months before I got out of the Army, I was not on medication. So basically they kicked me out of the Army without help and medication or anything like that, and that was it. So everything that I've done since that moment of not driving into the tree has all been without medication. Now, medication works for some people, so I'm not anti-med. I'm not anti anything, actually. I think it's whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
You do you. But what I wanted to say is that I've done all of this recovery all the way up to today and beyond without medication. So it can be done, with the right mindset.
I'm so glad. And that is an important point that I want to highlight. It's the important thing is to get the help you need, whatever that looks like. I mean, the meds will help to a certain point, but in the end, you want to recreate those neural pathways, rebalance the hormones so that you can get back to some sort of baseline. I don't want to say normal, because I think that word sucks.
I hate normal. Yeah.
So whatever your baseline is, to where you don't wake up every day thinking, oh my God, life sucks. Why am I even here? Like, you're here. I totally believe for a reason. I don't honestly know what I believe in terms of spirituality, like Jesus, the flying spaghetti monster. I don't know. And I don't care if that offends you. I know that I believe, I don't think human beings are the smartest beings in the universe, because if we are, we're fucked. And there have been too many weird coincidences in my life, kind of similar to the ghost in the car that yelled at you to stop.
Yeah.
Too many weird things where, like, I had that gut feeling, that small voice talking to me, where I was like, is this intervention? Is this what they talk about when they say fate? Like this little thing that told me to do something that doesn't make any damn sense whatsoever. Like when I chose to live in my car to be a copywriter, everybody thought I was crazy. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's
but
great.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, since, and I'll just jump forward to like being a Paris cub, because like most people know that I'm a cub of Paris Lampropolis, but you know,
and I want to give that some context real quick, just for people that are new to the show. If you don't know, Pauline and I share a background as a copywriter, and essentially that's sales writers. Like, we are specialized in writing the kind of writing that produces sales, like at volume and scale. Like, we write multi-million-dollar campaigns. Woohoo! Go us. So when Pauline talks about being a cub for Paris, Paris is a well-renowned writer in our industry, and he trains people. And in our industry, we call it a copy cub. So there you go. You have your context. Tell us about Paris.
Oh, and well, with Paris, it'd be like a horror writer being mentored by Stephen King, or, you know, like that kind of level kind of thing. But so in being a cub of his and going down the rabbit hole of, you know, what makes us tick, I found out that I've got unrelenting standards, which makes sense, because also the other thing that stopped me from driving into the tree that day, like after I stopped and I went, oh yeah, I'd probably fuck it up, and then I'd have to live with that, you know, that evidence and proof that I was such a fuck up for the rest of my life by being, you know, in a vegetative state or whatever. And just my luck, I'd just be aware enough that I was such a loser. So it's actually also part of my perfectionism, I think, that kicked in and just went, you know what, you haven't exactly lived very well, so what makes you think you're going to succeed in killing yourself properly? So you're such a loser. So it's so funny, like, to have that negative self-talk, you know, so prominent and up front. But to my credit, like, the past Pauline did pretty well in dragging herself out of that and finding help, where, you know, like my psychiatrist at the time, I told him what I was doing, and because he just wanted to medicate me all the time. It's just, here's some more medications. It's like, I'm not taking any more medication. And so he was laughing at me and what I was doing to try to get better, because he said, that's not going to help you. But, you know, look who's laughing now. You know, I'm still here. I haven't taken medication. So clearly it did work.
And that's my favorite, that my friends and I have a joke about whenever we have like really strong feelings, especially if they're negative, we're feeling depressed or anything like that. I just look at my friends and I go, feelings are dumb.
Yeah.
Brains are dumb. Why do we even have them? They're so dumb. Oh my God. And then we usually kind of laugh at ourselves and move forward. And I'm not saying that that's a cure for depression or anything, but like, my default whenever I'm having negative feelings is to have a dark sense of humor about it. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh goodness. So you past Pauline did a good job in pulling you out, stopping you from driving the car into the tree. Fast forward a couple years, you found Paris to mentor you, to help teach you this art of copy. Let's dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I was already a very established copywriter when I did that. I mean, the funny thing is that I kind of hit the American scene, copywriting scene, in 2014 when I went to Brian Kurtz's Titans of Direct Response. But I was already a successful copywriter in Australia. So what happened, though, when I went to America, no one knew of me. So I basically started down the bottom again. So I really had to then reestablish myself in a new land, where then people, you know, I couldn't go in, and I've never been cocky. I don't see the point of it. So I didn't walk in there with a great big ego going, oh, you know, I'm an A-list copywriter, I'm the best copywriter in Australia or whatever. It's like, which I had been called even at that stage. But I just like took the modest route, and I just went, you know what, America's different. Let's just start from the bottom and work my way up again. So basically I did that. Yeah. And so then at that event in 2014, I had lunch with Paris because all of the speakers had a table and you could go and sit with them. And the only one you couldn't actually go and sit with was Gary Benzavenga because he was like VVVIP, could go and sit with him. And I was nowhere near that. So, you know, I went and sat with Paris for lunch. And I said to him at the time, because I'd heard about him from another Paris Cub in Australia. And I said, so what do I have to do to be a Paris Cub? And he goes, nothing, I'm not taking anymore. And I went, all right. I said, but when you are, what would I need to do? He goes, didn't you hear me? And I went, yeah, I heard you, but, you know, things change, people change, and you probably will want to do another group again. So how do I get it in on that list? And he goes, oh, you're a persistent one. I went, like you wouldn't believe. I haven't traveled halfway around the world to be told no. Anyway, so
I
then
love that.
Yeah. And you know, from like just the time, you know, like you and I hang out in real life from time to time pre-COVID and that. And then it's like, you know, every time I'm at an event, I'm there 100%. Like I don't hide. I don't travel halfway around the world to hide. I don't travel halfway around the world to be a shrinking violet or for people not to know me, you know. I always go out of my way to, you know, get the most out of each trip.
I want to highlight that, and I want to unpack it because I think that even is a critical message for everybody listening here. Like you could have theoretically flown around the world and just sat in the back of the room and then gone back home. Yeah. That wouldn't have been a smart investment of your time, your energy, your money to go that far and not play all out, not be there to make connections and meet people and find new opportunities. And so I love that you were like, I didn't fly halfway across the world to hear no. I don't think so. And I really, really like if I could wave my magic wands and have something come true for the people that are listening to this, it would be that like, I didn't get to this point to hear no. Damn Skippy, start that business, leave that relationship, take that job, do what you got to do. You didn't come this far to hear no. Rant over.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, well, I've got this, you know, philosophy that I've adopted recently, and I've even got it on one of those like little armband things that says, I haven't come this far to only come this far. Yes. That is like a huge mantra because I mean, even like, you know, like going back to the Pauline who wanted to drive into the tree, it's like in that moment, I haven't come this far to only come this far. There is a purpose of why I'm here. I don't know it and I don't have to know everything. It's like, whatever. You know, I don't need to know the end of the novel when I start reading the novel, just like get on with it and, you know, consume it. And that's what I'm doing with life. It's like I have faith that it works out okay. I guess it does and it doesn't because we all die, but I'm not going to go into that macabre space. But it's like, you know, just make the best of what you've got. So even with that going to Titans of Direct Response though, I actually had to borrow money from him. He's a friend now, but I kind of hardly knew him at the time. But for some reason, the year earlier, he said to me, Pauline, I've got a bit of money. I like to invest in people. If ever you need a loan or something, just hit me up. And I thought, what a bizarre thing to say to someone. I didn't think that a year later when I had no money and wanted to go to that event because, you know, you look at the lineup, there was Gary Benzavenga, there was Paris Lampropoulos, there was all these super amazing people on the stage, Dan Kennedy, and I'm like looking at all the greats of our industry and I'm going, how can I not be in that room? And Ray said, we don't have any money. And I said, well, I need to get that money. We need to be at that event. That's just all there is to it. So asked this guy for money and he actually said yes. Funny thing was that last year he actually became a mentee of mine. He goes, I kind of love the fact that I actually helped train my mentor.
That's so
How
great.
good is that?
Talk about investing in people and it coming full circle. Like I really, really, really love that story. And I like, you know, I love, and I want more of us to tell that story too, because I have kind of a similar story in my Titans
was the action seminar the year before with John Carlton. And I, at the time, was in the Warrior Forum, which I think you know, which is like a marketing community that's online, but it was full of a lot of people, and it still is full of a lot of people that are like posturing and bragging and just, you know, the hyper macho kind of stuff. And, you know, for those of us with tits, it's a little uncomfortable sometimes. I made do. I have sass. I was able to play on the same playground as the boys, but I didn't really want to. And I knew that there had to be something better. They're all challenging me to go to this action seminar. I really want to go to this action seminar. There's some speakers there that I think are going to teach me a lot of great shit. I don't have the money to go to it either. And so I crowdfunded my way to the action seminar. I raised money through Indiegogo back before like everybody was doing GoFundMes.
Brilliant.
And I didn't share that for years. I was ashamed of it. I was like, how the hell are they going to take me seriously if people find out that I couldn't pay for my own ticket here? And now, you know, to kind of, hindsight is 2020 on all of these things, right? But I see it for the resourcefulness it is. That was my version of, I didn't come halfway around the world to hear. I didn't come this far to not go to this damn conference. I'm going to find a way to make it. And so now when I see that kind of spark that you just showed me, that I didn't come this far to come this far, that's what I love nurturing in people. And being like, no, that is enough. I don't care if you don't have money. I don't care if you don't have time. I don't care if you're overwhelmed at home. I see that spark that says, I didn't get this far just to get this far. I'm doing something else. I'm doing something more. And I'm like, yes, come with me, my baby. You are mine.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing that annoys me is like then people will look at me and go, oh, you're so lucky you've had this opportunity. And it's like, what part of it was lucky? Getting kicked out of the army, nearly driving into a tree, killing myself, not having enough money to go to a thing, having to restart all over again when I got to America because no one knew me, which I know other copywriters in Australia wouldn't have handled that. They would have gone, well, F this, I'm going back to Australia and I'll get to the top down there and I'll just stay there. And some of them have, whereas I just knew that I was born and destined for more. So what part of it is lucky? I think when people say that you were lucky, it's such a lazy label that they put on you to make themselves feel comfortable.
It's wishing your way to success, and it's absolute bullshit. I hate that. Like, luck doesn't have a damn bit to do with this. Do you know how hard I worked with? I actually had, Mom listens to this podcast, so I'm going to, I love you, Mommy. We had a little bit of a square off once upon a time because she said that to me, I think she was going through a bit of a rough patch, but she said that like, but you don't know what it's like. You're lucky. You haven't struggled like this. I was like, did you forget that I lived in my fucking car?
Yeah.
Like I lived in my fucking car and was like, this is how much I believe that I was meant to be a writer. I'm living in my car. Luck doesn't have anything to do with it. My choices made all the difference.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Magic.
And that's it, isn't it? We always have a choice. And, you know, often it's the people that are living in, you know, like the same continent. Like I've had people like when I've met them at AWAI's boot camp or, you know, also Copy Chief Live and things like that. They go, oh, you're so lucky. Or even people that would say that and they don't go to Copy Chief Live, but they live in Florida. And I go, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't even have to pay for accommodation and you can't get off your ass and go to an event that will change your life. Like, what is wrong with you? And yet I travel halfway around the world. And like each trip to America, my partner Ray and I were working out, costs us about like $20,000 because there's 2 airline tickets, there's accommodation, there's that and all the rest. We lose so much money on the currency conversion. Everything is like at least a third more. We get to America, we have to tip, which we're happy to tip, but as soon as we tip, we're instantly paying double the amount that everyone else at the table is paying because of the currency conversion.
Yeah. Oh,
so
God.
People don't realize it. And so I'm just going, you know, saying that I'm lucky is such a lazy way to give yourself an excuse for you not stepping up and showing up.
It really is. And I'm glad you mentioned Copy Chief Live because I think you will appreciate it. Of course, you're talking about luck having nothing to do with it. And my brain immediately went, what's luck got to do with it? Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly.
And you're the first guest that I've sang on the podcast.
Cool. Well, even when I went to Copy Chief a couple of years ago and one of our friends, Marcella, she was running a competition. I had no interest in entering the competition, but she said, Pauline, I've got no entries. And it was kind of out of sorts of me not to even give it a go. And she said, can you please enter that competition? And I went, yeah, all right. I didn't travel halfway around the world just to hide. So, yeah, I'd had a couple of rums and I went, you know what? And it was for a whiskey challenge. And it's like, I don't even drink whiskey, so I hope I don't even win that bottle of whiskey. Well, it's sitting behind me, actually, right there.
The writer's tears, right?
Yeah, there, right there, writer's tears. And so I entered the competition and I freaking won it. And then, you know, again, as soon as I won, and it's unfortunate for people who sit near Ray when she's filming me walking up on stage, because the comments being thrown at me were vile.
What?
And it was like, oh, she's so lucky, or, you know, she only won because she's a Paris cover. She only won because she blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I won because I showed up and you did not.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I want to play this for everybody that was there. You guarantee if I had been at that table and heard them, I would have set them straight. That's some bullshit right there. Look, guys, don't be jealous of someone else's success, because you can have that if you're willing to do what they're willing to do. The reason that they've got something different from what you've got is because they took different actions and made different choices. So if you want that shit, go after it. Don't be a jealous little fuckhead. Just going to say.
Yeah, I love it. And thanks for saying that, because I did have words to a couple of the people who said it. I said, by the way, you know, when someone's recording something, I wouldn't be saying stuff like that, because I actually heard what you said and they went ghostly white. And I said, if you think that what I did was that I stole candy from a baby, then stop being a fucking baby and grow up. And they just like went, oh. And anyway, I haven't really spoken. It's got to
be said sometimes. Like, that's just ridiculous. If you put yourself out there, then you increase your odds of winning. If you don't even try, of course you're not going to win. Luck, again, has nothing to do with this.
But imagine if they had have beaten like a Paris Cub, it would have been so, I won against the Paris Cub. So it's like, you know, me entering that competition is actually kind of a gift to other people around me, because then it helps them to step up and know what the caliber was. But, you know, the reason why I actually entered it, Angie, is because it was anonymous until you actually won a prize. And I was actually genuinely trying to help a friend of ours out, because, you know, she said, I can't not have any entries for this competition. So I actually, and here's the other thing I did, Angie. As I said, I'd been out for dinner, had a couple of rums under my belt. I had to do my weekly email, which is a non-negotiable for me. So I sat up until 3:00 in the morning, writing out that competition thing, writing out my weekly email, got up early the next morning. It was business as usual. I went to the whole day of Copy Chief and I didn't go, but I'm so tired, I can't be here. It's like, no, I can sleep on the plane going home.
Yeah. Those events, and it's not just Copy Chief, it's like all events when you're working on your business, they can be intense. They're so energy intensive. They're such a drain. And like, I get peopled out. I know I have a feeling you do too. And so like I get to a point where people make fun of me because they notice that I disappear from events. If I'm gone, trust that I've gone to either a quieter place or gone to sleep or gone to read or something, because like I'm just peopled out. And I get to that stage and I leave because I know the process of saying goodbye is going to piss me off to the point where I'm going to snap at somebody. And like I just want to leave y'all with the image of happy, funny, laid back Angie. I really don't ever want you to meet the Angie that's like, I need you to get out of my face right now because I'm about to go from zero to bitch. And I really need you to understand this about me. That was, you know, a tangent to say that those events can be intense. So you're totally within reasonableness, if that's a word, to say, I've been up all night. I've put all this effort in. I'm going to go take a break now. And you didn't. And I think that that is beyond commendable. I think that that's admirable. Like, know that when you're there to give 100%. And that sounds so cliche when I say it, but you really are. You can either show up and coast or you can show up and do the damn thing.
I think it's only cliche because people say it and they don't do it. But it's not cliche when you actually say, I turn up 100% because I certainly do. You know, I'm tired. I'm jet lagged like everyone else. I'll be sitting there and all of a sudden I get hit with the jet lags.
Oh,
and it's
gosh.
like, whoa. It's like, what the hell? And then I have someone go, oh, yeah, well, I flew in from like LA and I'm jet lagged. I'm going, you're right. I've been on a plane for like 28 hours and yes, I feel for you. You are so much worse off than me. Really.
God. Perspective, folks.
Yeah.
Be careful who you're bitching to. Like you said, be careful what you wish for, but be careful who you're bitching to because you just might get schooled.
Yeah, it's like you got nothing. You got nothing. It's
Well,
so
and
funny.
I'm going to challenge you too to make it a practice of not bitching because that focuses you on all of the shit that you're lacking, all of the things that are missing from your life. It keeps you stuck in this negative pattern. And, you know, talk about, to go back to the original story that you were saying, retraining your brain and coming out of depression. What do you have to focus on to come out of that, right? I think it's the path in front of you. Like you said, once I'm here and I know that I have to be here, I have to make it count.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make it count, like why the hell would you want to keep struggling for the rest of your life? I mean, I've got this thing that I've been talking about for years about my unshakable why. And I've only just discovered it a couple of years ago. Like everyone that I know has got a why, and a why is a good thing to have, right? You know, it's why you're here and why you do what you do. But Angie, I noticed that there's a lot of entrepreneurs and people, you know, that I've met along the way, like personal development space, and their why is like, oh, I want to go to Thailand and take 100 sex workers off the street, or I want to go to India and start up an orphanage, and I want to go to Africa and, you know, build a school. And then I'd be going, yeah, they're really good. And so I had my own big ass why. And then one day something just hit on me, and I went, because every time I met up with these people, I'd say, so how's the orphanage going? I haven't started it. How are the women in Thailand? I haven't gone there. Haven't, you know, like life got in the way. And I'm going, what the heck? Like, what's going on with this? Why aren't people achieving their whys? And I kind of do this, what I call contemplation. So I'll sit and do deep thought about life in the universe. And so then I just tap into a wise part of myself. Said, so what's with the why? Why haven't I achieved my why? Why haven't my other friends achieved their why? And all I got was, because it's outside of yourself. And then I just, you know, went down that rabbit hole a bit. And really what it was any of those whys can be outsourced. Anyone can do those whys. You could go, Pauline, that's a freaking fantastic why. I'm going to do that. And I go, yeah, all right. And then like pressure's off me because now I think you're going to do it for me instead of me having to step up. So then, you know, this wise part of myself said, okay, wise one, smart ass. What does because my conversation with myself is pretty funny and very raw and real. But I said, okay, so what would a better why be? It's like, you can't outsource yourself. And then if you think like like if life is like a pond, until we actually do something, there's no ripples. We are the thing that causes ripples in our own life. But what most people try to do is they're trying to help the ripples outside of themselves. They're not causing the ripples to happen when they're already trying to help the ripples outside. So like, you know, for instance, like a mum will say, my why is my children. And I'll challenge them and say, why is your child your why? Why aren't you your why? If you have yourself as your own why, you can't outsource that. No one's going to look after yourself as much as you do. But if you're not there, then your child doesn't get looked after by you. It's like your child needs you to make that ripple first.
Yes.
So then you can help them.
And then they get that subconscious message too, that like, she didn't matter. Why don't I matter? Like
exactly.
You taking care of yourself, I think, is almost one of the biggest forms of generosity that you can give other people. And I don't mean like a selfish, look out for number one type, take care of yourself. But I mean like really, like you said, Pauline, sit with it, think the thoughts, ask yourself what matters, what you were meant to do, what you'd like to do, what's holding you back from doing those things, who you can help. Go out and find those people and help and make a damn difference in this life. Because I do, like I said, a flying spaghetti monster forbid, I'm wrong here. But I do think that we're all put here on purpose, with some sort of purpose, for a reason.
Well, what happened with me was that, and why did I end up in depression? And people, just say, oh, people who have depression, they're living in the past. Oh man, I was not living in the past. I could not stand my past. And it's like what it was, I was dislocated from my soul. I was living out of alignment with my purpose. That is it. So I was getting like the universe flying spaghetti monster. I believe that they give you a message such as like a feather. Mm-hmm. It's like, I ignored the feather. They throw you a brick. I just ignored the brick. They gave me a rock. I went, that didn't even hurt. So then they sent a truck. I ignored the truck. And then they sent through the freaking great big, well, in Australia, we've got what we call road trains, and they are a semi-trailer with about like 5 to 10 trailers on the end of them.
Oh, geez. You
get run over one of them, you are dead. Like, they do not stop for anything on the road. And so I got hit by the road train, and that's when I finally woke up to myself. But going back to the why, though, what I realized is, okay, so my with me being my why, it's not just, and I think there's a big difference between the words selfish and self-centered. Mm-hmm. I am actually self-centered. I am the center of myself. I am the center of my own universe. And I don't give a shit what people say about that, because it's working for me and it's going great guns. But then I thought, okay, so it can't just be me now. My why can't be my why, me now. And then I said, I can't even just have it as my why, because then it's just going to be, that cliche, like, whatever why. So then I put another word in front of it, and I said, okay, so I'm going to be my unshakable why. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself into the future. So what I've chosen is, for my unshakable why, is me 20 years in the future from right now. I never meet her. So she's someone, like, she's just a little bit older than my mum, and I love her. I want her to have a really great life. I want her to have, otherwise, why am I doing this, Angie? Why am I doing everything that I do? So I've got like an idea and an image of her. I want her to be what I call a trust fund retiree. I want her to have all the money in the world. If she wants a private island, she can have a private island. She wants a yacht to go to a private island, she can have the yacht and the private island. I don't care. I think she deserves a freaking awesome life, because why? She has had to put up with me. I'm like a pain in the ass. So I want to reward this old woman of me in the future that like has had to go to hell and back and has got the scars to prove it. And I just want her to have good choices in life. She wants to travel. She wants to have an operation. She doesn't have to beg, borrow, steal, or whatever. She can do and have anything that she wants. So that's me. That's my unshakable why. So now, what happens now that I've got her in my targets? Shiny object syndrome doesn't exist, because all I have to do is go, future Pauline, who's friggin' awesome, by the way. I say, does this decision I'm about to make here, does that get me closer to your lifestyle, or does it take us further away? It's a simple decision. Instead of me asking outside of myself, random stranger, what do you think about this? Do you think I should do this? And they go, well, I don't know you, but if I was you, I'd be doing. It's like, but instead I'm actually tuning into myself. I'm going, does this help my reality come true, or does it steal my Maserati from me 20 years from now?
I love that.
That kind of thing.
That's so great, because I've had that conversation with coaching students too. And I think especially when trying something new, no matter how old or experienced you are, trying something new seems to shake us. And we go into this overwhelm, like just by default, seeking out all the options, all the opinions, the advice from everywhere that we can get. And then we sit back, and when it comes time to make a choice, we wonder why we're overwhelmed. It's because you've got too much shit to sort through. You've asked too many people. And at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but my goal as a coach is to teach someone to trust their own gut and their own path forward. I don't want someone coming to me going, Angie, what should I do? I don't know what you should do. You already know what you should do. Flip a fucking coin if you have to, but I want you to trust that quiet internal voice. If that's you 20 years in the future, like future Pauline, if that's I don't know if that's the voice of your ancestors telling you which way to go. I don't know if you have like if you say, you know, at the end of 5 years, I want to be X. Then you've got a clear filter that everything that doesn't fit into the X path is not something that you even need to think about right now. Just let it go.
Exactly. Yeah. Do an Elsa and let it go. Just fuck it. You know,
we've had so many references to Frozen on this podcast. It should be the Frozen podcast.
It's one of my favorite movies, actually. So, but yeah, so I mean, so getting in tune with an aspect of yourself and you know, seeking wise counsel from yourself. I mean, that has actually been such a game changer for me. But then like going back to, you know, okay, so if she's 20 years in the future and okay, so my own belief is that, you know, like time is a human construct so that we can stay, you know, sane. But you know, when I was doing spiritual healing and teaching and all that sort of stuff, it's like the past, present, and future is all happening all at once, really. So guess who's the idiot who yelled in my car that day?
I had a feeling it was going to be that. I was just waiting for it to come back.
Yeah. I get goosies every time I say who it was. I firmly think that, you know, it was actually the future me that like reached back and said, don't do it, just, you know, but she knew how to get my attention too. Because here's the other thing that happened, Angie, is like when I was depressed, it was almost like a presence of an older woman would come through. And, you know, I've got very expanded views on life and, you know, like ghosts and apparitions and whatever. I mean, if I can't explain it, I'll just put it, well, I've got like in my brain, I've got an unexplainable shelf. I don't just like get rid of stuff and just go, no, I don't believe it. I just go, interesting, unexplainable shelf. And then a couple of years later you go, that's what it was. You know?
I like that. That's a good way to categorize stuff that doesn't make sense to us, but could still be true.
Yeah, exactly. And then so what I did with this woman is like, okay, so when I was depressed, this woman would come through and she'd go, it's okay, little one, not long to go. You'll be okay. And in my normal depressed state, I go, how the fuck do you know that? Fuck off, you know, fuck off. You know. Anyway, so and then I had like spiritual and psychic people go, oh, well, it's your grandmother. And I go, yeah, my grandmother's not dead. Or it's such and such. I go, yeah, no, it's not them. It doesn't feel like any of those people that I know or I have known. And then one day I was over in Idaho Falls at a spiritual healing conference, and I was leveling up my training qualifications, and the crazy lady that was doing the course goes, you know, it's going to be so funny one day when you all realize that the past, present, and future is happening all at once, and you can actually talk to your future past selves and all that sort of stuff right now. And I was just about to walk out of the room, and I just like stopped halfway through a step, and I just went, oh, that's who it was.
You realized that you were back talking yourself.
yeah I just went, oh my God. And that's when she said that's when I started to get the idea of the unshakable wine. I'm going, okay, so let's start talking to her. And then when I became a copywriter, I came up with the word like unshakable wine. It's never steered me wrong, Angie. It's like last year I was offered it's just like sometimes you just, I would actually say that I'm kind of lucky, but I do know that I've worked so hard to get it. But I had a client that I worked with like some 7 years ago, and I did some writing for him. And because I wasn't an agency, but I was on a copywriting team, and the guy loved my copy, and I did something just one step further than I needed to, because I really liked the guy. I liked his product. And so I just went, you know what, I'm going to just do this for him. He never forgot it. And this guy, with the one package that I made, that I wrote for him, made like over $5 million. And I never knew about that, because like you don't get the feedback on the copywriting team, right? So apparently I've always been on his dream list of like people to be on his team when he started a company. Well, last year he started that company, and it's in the hedge fund space. And what he's doing is revolutionary. It's like a joint venture model and blah, blah, blah. And so he approached me, said, how much for a sales letter for this? And I went, oh, well, that'd be X amount of money. I said, so what are you trying to do? And he goes, well, I want to, like raise a couple of $1 billion worth of capital for a hedge fund and blah, blah, blah. And I went, so, okay. So, and he goes, I said, well, why me? And he goes, well, because you made me a lot of money a couple of years ago and blah, blah, blah. And I went, and I didn't get royalties. And he goes, no, you probably didn't. I said, do you know how much I got paid for that? He goes, no. And I went, $3,500. He goes, oh, that's not right. And I went, no, it's not. So anyway, I said, so I told him his story. I said, in copywriting, there's like a guy who wrote a letter called the Wall Street Journal letter. It made the company like $2 billion. And do you know how much money that guy got for that letter? He goes, no idea. He must be like, rich. Said, I think he got his annual salary and that's it. They didn't give him a bonus or anything. I said, I'm taking my offer of the sales letter off the table. And what I would like is that if I write this for you, I'll take a lower rate for the upfront, but I want royalties or some kind of performance bonus for every, like $500 million, 1 billion, $1.5 billion, that kind of stuff. I'd love that. And so he went away and he came back and he actually bettered my offer and he said, how about we do this and I'm going to give you a profit share and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So this is awesome, right? But, the first person I asked, it wasn't my partner, wasn't my parents, wasn't some fucking random stranger on the Facebook land. It was Pauline 20 years in the future. I said, Pauline, is this a good thing? Is this going to move you closer, move us closer to you being that trust fund retiree or further away? And she goes, honey, this is what makes it happen. Do it. And it's like, okay, all right. So I've been working with them. And the other day, yesterday I had a call with them and they just told me that one of the little sub funds that we're working with, they deployed my copy to the wrong audience.
God.
And they have they attracted an angel investor that's going to give us like solid 8 figures and going up to 9 figures into our fund in the next month. So that's just one client. So happy days ahead. So being able to get that guidance from someone that I trust, though, because now obviously, all aspects of me, the past Pauline who did it so hard, the present Pauline who's like doing all the hard work, and the future Pauline who's sitting there on a private island smoking a cigar and drinking rum with her mates. It's just such a great existence. So
future Angie's going to be right there with you. I want an invite to the private island.
Mate, you are there. You can stay as long as you like.
All the tackle hugs and the morning sunrise photos, because this is what we do when we hang out in person. Yeah. Tackle hugs and morning sunrises and just hanging around and chatting. I freaking love it. I miss it. Man, fuck COVID.
Yeah, fuck COVID. But but I'm looking forward to being able to catch up with people. But yeah, so I know it sounds a little woo, a little bit out there, but I really want to share because one thing that I know that I didn't have when I had depression was hope. I didn't have any kind of hope. But with having this unshakable why, I have like a Niagara Fall flow of hope into my life. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I wish I'm not sharing this video with anybody, so I'm just like over here making faces.
Yeah.
Doing all kinds of crazy shit. Oh gosh, Pauline, this has been fantastic. And I don't even know how to wrap my head around it, but it's been amazing. And I've got so many good takeaways. All right. Tell us a little bit more about where to find you.
Well, they can send the bail money to. I'm just joking. No, I've got a website. It's called The Copy Alchemist, as in like alchemy.com. And that's where you can find me, or you can stalk me on social media. But my website. Each week I send out an email that is people have said is like a marketing seminar in an email. It's more like a newsletter, but it's usually a slice of life story wrapped up in some kind of like point. I don't like to send out emails just for the sake of hearing my own voice.
Yeah.
I if I'm going to interrupt someone's day, I want to give them something. There has to be a payoff for them,
totally
listening to me. So yeah, that's
totally
how I run life.
I think you're going to help a lot of people because I made this podcast, I think, for creative entrepreneurs, people that are in all kinds of, they're bakers, photographers, whatever, and they're trying to figure out this business thing. And so, yeah, marketing is one part of business. Sales is one part of business. You got to get good at it. I don't think you can get better advice than Pauline. So thank you so much for being on the show, Pauline. We're going to have to set a follow-up one.
Thank you. Awesome.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.